What up, Stackers? Big Stack McGee here. How are you doing? Well, it's Friday. Welcome to the weekend. I just wanted to make a video tonight on a topic that's been brought up a couple times. And tonight's topic suggestion comes from R. Ann Rousseau, who writes, Topic suggestion. Sometimes life throws us unexpected curveballs, for example, health crisis, etc., and we have to sell some pieces. Is it better to sell to a local dealer, sell back to AppMax or SD Bullion? Which pieces should go first? Eagles, silver, gold, blanks? How to make a sell decision when crisis visits you and time is of the essence. Great question and a very complex question. And so I'm going to start by just saying that I do have an opinion I'm going to offer here. It's just that, my opinion. I'm not offering any kind of specific advice for you or your situation, but I'm going to give you, from my point of view, how I feel about this. And the first thing I have to say is that my stack is not the first thing in the line of defense of coming to an emergency for me. I have emergency accounts, savings accounts I can drain, cash, reserves. I would sell stocks before I would probably liquidate my stack. In fact, I look at this, at the stuff that I have in my stack is very much, something I'll probably never sell. I intend to pass this along as an inheritance to my kids. However, in the spirit of the question, if I needed to sell because it was an emergency, what would I do? Well, I'm going to talk first about what I would sell first before I talk about where I would go to do it. By far, the very thing that I would look to sell first is generic silver. Approximately half of my stack is some sort of generic silver. Things like this, generic silver rounds. This happens to be the Prospector round from Provident. There's nothing special about this stuff. You buy generic silver as close to spot as you possibly can, and you sell it as close to spot as you possibly can. The thing I like about generic silver is you don't have to question too much, how much should I sell it for? Based on whatever spot price is at, that's going to give you your information as to what you're going to try to get for it. Now, are you going to be able to get spot price? It depends on where you're selling it to. And the answer is probably not. With generic, you're going to try to get as close to spot as you possibly can. The second part of my stack I would let go after the generic stuff, which I would have no trouble letting go of, because, again, to me it's just ounces. There's nothing that's, meaningful to me in that. But the second thing I would probably sell is 90% silver. I have probably a quarter of my stack is probably this stuff. No, maybe a little bit less than that, actually, now that I think about it. Either way, bags of that, face value bags, or coin rolls of 90% silver would be the next thing that I would sell. And again, you're got a pretty good idea of what you're going to try to get for it. Every bullion dealer, etc., will sell face value bags of 90%, and you got to get it as close to the 3% spread from that as you can, because they're going to sell it for the bullion content of it. I'm not talking about collectible 90%. I'm just talking about stuff that is valued at the intrinsic bullion value of it, the silver content, etc. And of course, you have modern bullion stuff that you do buy, with a premium attached. You're going to try to get as close as you can to that spread. So if you're paying $2 to $3 over spot for Eagles, anything spot or above that is probably good. Again, you're kind of at the mercy of whoever you're selling it to, of course. Modern bullion, like the rolls of Eagles and stuff. Again, not very attached to that stuff. I would have no problem selling that if I needed to. And that is another good portion of my stack. Probably 95% of my stack is either one of those categories or another that I've talked so far. The stuff that I would hold on to is the stuff that has some sort of value to me, and it's either collectible stuff or things that are high premium, things that I kind of put a little bit more of my attention into. Just pieces, like this proof here that I got as a gift, special to me, and I'm going to hold on to it. I have no desire to sell this. I don't want to sell any of my stuff, but I have no desire to sell this stuff. And other things, graded coins and whatever, a little bit more subjective in terms of what it's worth. It's worth whatever someone's willing to pay you for it, of course. If you go online and you look for this stuff, you're going to find wide variations on how much this stuff is. So there's certain pieces that I would definitely just hold on to regardless. I love this piece. And of course, following stuff like this, my gold stack would be the very last thing that I would liquidate if needed. So that's the stuff that I would sell first. And again, I guess if nothing else, that's a really good rationale on why I like generic and low premium silver, is just because I'm not attached to it. And if I needed to get rid of it, I could. So anyway, regardless. And so that's the stuff that I would sell in that order if I needed to. Now, where to sell it to? Let's start with the local dealers, the local coin shops. The first thing I would say regarding selling to a local coin shop is, do you have a relationship with them? In other words, do you do a lot of business there? Do you know the people that are working there? If you do, you have a much better chance of getting your values worth when you're trying to sell there. If you're a frequent customer of there. If you just go into some local coin shop with a whole bunch of silver and you're looking to unload it, good luck, because they're either going to sense that you need to get rid of it, or who just shows up with all their stuff trying to sell it now, right? What you want to do is you want to call ahead and ask for a quote. Have a good, concise listing of what it is that you're looking to sell, and I would call around, locally. In my case, as I mentioned in my last video, it takes me at least an hour to get to any coin shop, but in that area there's several, and so if I needed to sell, I would again put together a list, call ahead, and just get their quotes before I would even think of bringing stuff to the store. The other thing with local coin shops is it all depends on who's running it. Some places are very fair. The place that I do business at is a huge operation. They're used to having stuff come in and out every day. But if you're looking at more of a mom and pop, small time place, they may have enough of whatever it is you're trying to sell, and they're not really interested in giving you much close to spot. They may go, you know what, they're looking for a deal too. And if they're sensing that you need to get rid of it, you may have a hard time trying to recoup what you think the value is. Online is another great place to sell. That's probably where I would turn first if I wasn't in a huge hurry. Something like an eBay. It's pretty easy to move silver bars and tubes of 90%, and even just tubes of eagles and stuff like that. Tons of volume on there, and you kind of know what to expect. You can look at spot price, and you can look at what things have been selling at and get a really good idea what you're going to get for it. But still, doing that piecemeal is a lot of work. So one thing you may want to consider is selling directly to some of the bullion dealers, like APMEX, for instance. I can tell you this, any bullion dealer pretty much requires at least $1,000 minimum sale. And even having done that, you're still not going to recoup the maximum value unless you approach closer to $10,000 in your sale. Like, for instance, right on their website, APMEX says $1,000 minimum sale, but all the buyback prices that they list are not valid unless you sell at least $10,000 worth. So if you were to go and sell your stuff to APMEX or Provident or JM Bullion or any of those kind of places, you would again get a concise list. You would call them, create an account if you haven't done yet, and then you'll speak with one of the representatives. They'll take everything that you have over the phone, or I suppose you can send them an email, and they will give you a quote based on what you have and how much. Then you would have to carefully pack your stuff, and you would ship it to them, and of course you would do that registered mail or insured and all that kind of business, because you don't want to take any chances with that. And then when they receive it, they check the accuracy of what you claim it is versus what you were quoted, and then pretty quickly they'll issue you your check and whatnot. So if I do have instructions with my family that if I were to die suddenly on how to, if they needed to, potentially sell the stack and what to sell. So I have a document basically that describes to my wife what I would recommend that she sells and what I recommend that she holds on to if necessary. And so my wife is pretty well versed in what we do as far as stacking. I'm definitely more of the stacking person, but she's aware of everything and she's familiar with what to do in the event that I were to die. And more than likely we wouldn't have to touch any of this stuff, and it just all goes, like I said, to our kids. So that's pretty much it. I guess one more thing I got to cover would be Craigslist. That's another one. I have bought from Craigslist before, have not sold anything on Craigslist, but the only thing I have to say is that it can be kind of sketchy. I don't know that that would be my first place to turn if I was trying to sell something, especially because I don't know, you just meet all types and you have no idea who you're dealing with. So that would be by far the last thing I would do, unless you're able to form some kind of relationship with someone you met on Craigslist in terms of buying and selling and whatnot, and you trust them. But I would not recommend doing that at a pinch, especially if you're moving large amounts and there's large cash transactions happening. That's not where I would turn at all. So if I, again, was not in a hurry, I'd be selling stuff on eBay and trying to get top dollar, doing research and that way, selling tubes, etc. But if I was in absolute hurry, I would probably call my local coin shops, get a quote, see if I'm at all interested, and I would also check with AppMex and take wherever the top dollar is. Factoring in that if you have to ship it and registered mail and all that kind of stuff, is it worth it to sell directly to AppMex versus your local coin shop? And you would have to do that due diligence to know what the best solution is for that. But if you're a stacker out there and the rest of your family is not really completely understanding what's going on, I highly recommend you create a document like I have with very concise instructions, phone numbers, websites, things like that, so that your family knows what to do when they handle your stack, if that were something that has to happen. But and again, one final warning, and I apologize for this being such a rambling video, but if you have a stack and you do not have some sort of emergency account thing, like cash reserves of at least 6 months, I would stack a little bit less and work on that emergency stuff, because by far going in withdrawing money from a savings account or using your own cash on hand to solve emergencies is by far a better idea than having to liquidate your stack or sell a couple coins because you have a bill. I can't tell you how far removed I am from that, but it's pretty significant. So again, most of us should have insurance for different things that come up, but let's just say you're in a position where you have to sell. Just make sure that you plan ahead. That's all I'm saying is don't let your silver and gold stack be your emergency account. I just think that's a really bad idea. So don't spend every penny you have on just accumulating metals and ounces, but definitely prepare for emergencies in ways that are much easier of liquidating than just selling your silver and gold. All right, if you stuck around this long, I sure appreciate it. Please like and subscribe if you've not yet done so. Please hit that little bell icon so that you can be notified of future uploads. And I just really appreciate you watching and supporting my channel. This is Big Zach McGee. You guys have a fantastic night. Take care.